This music that you're hearing is sponsored by the Insurers of Tennessee. Thank you. Don't ever forget this was one of his classics. Milk's the One. Natural gas. He was one of a kind.
Good. You're really good at that, George.
Are you John Ward?
No, well, I spent about 10 years imitating him as a kid. And he got to hear it one time, and honestly, I don't think he liked it. Anyway, I don't think he did.
It's like Frank Caliendo doing John Madden. John Madden didn't like it.
Oh, no. But he was one of a kind and one terrific broadcaster. And when he said it's football time in Tennessee, it gave people chills.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Basilio has that same reaction for people, and he joins us by telephonic instrument. Tony, how are you?
I just laughed out loud. You were getting ready to, well, never mind. Yeah, when I say football time in Tennessee, when I say football time in Tennessee, George, people fall asleep. So.
It's football time in Tennessee. Sorry.
John Ward's the king of cool, George. You know that?
Man.
And those guys that did it in his era, there's something different about this. Those guys grew up on radio. They had to, it was just and he was such a big personality. He was such a funny guy.
He and Kaywood Ledford at Kentucky and Larry Munson at Georgia. And I would throw Eli Gold at Alabama. They'll never be anything like them. And it was an era where a lot of people, because all the games weren't on TV, would, gather around their radio, and they were bigger than life. They helped build those programs.
No doubt about it. People relied on those guys. Like, I grew up in a Penn State family, and there was a guy named Ray Scott, who was a classic broadcaster.
Yes.
Same kind of deal, man. Had one of those beautiful, rich voices like Kelly Holcomb.
Oh, gosh. Here we go, Tony.
Ray Scott.
Hey, Kelly, by the way, last week, my lovely wife, Laura, said to me, because I was at, Ocean City. I'm still in Pennsylvania right now. I'm getting ready to head back tomorrow. But she said, you need to quit picking on Kelly Holcomb. She said, I like Kelly. Quit picking on him.
Why is that? She don't need to worry. Hey, I'm good. I've got big shoulders, man. I like it. I like it. There were so many things said in quarterback meeting rooms and in meeting rooms in general that you cannot say on the air, but hey, you better have thick skin, brother. I promise.
Okay, we know you have it. Give me a quarterback that was your equal at it.
Couchy was pretty good.
Tim Couch.
Couchy was pretty good, man. He brought it too, man. We used to get in some battles now with our mouths, and he was pretty good. I did some things to Peyton. I know we're on a Tennessee segment, but I used to do some things to Peyton. He's a practical joker, and I got him a couple of times. He got me a couple of times. I told y'all the story about when we was in training camp in Terre Haute, which is an awful place. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. But I left one night and he was in my room, and when I came back about 15 minutes later, he had moved my whole room along with some fellow teammates down to the first floor, which was awesome. That was great.
And the truth is, right, if you're playing with people like that, that means you like them. When you're in one of those deals and people ignore you, you kind of wonder and worry about, hey, how long am I going to be here?
Absolutely.
So tell us this. We got football Saturday.
Yep.
Is there anything about UT Chattanooga that a Tennessee fan should worry about?
No, I don't think so. Now, they are pretty good at their level. They throw the ball pretty well. They are pretty well coached. But for the most part, that's a game you're going to dominate the line of scrimmage. And from a Tennessee perspective, what you want to see is you want to see them play a clean game and, kind of put that thing out of reach early like you're supposed to. And then play some people, get a look at some people, sort of an extension of their summer. Tennessee quit their summer preparations. They basically started in this direction almost 2 weeks ago. So they kind of broke camp early. They were satisfied with where they are and really think they've got some high potential upside on this football team. And obviously it's going to begin at quarterback, but they've got a lot of weapons around Nico. And a lot of guys are going to have an opportunity to break out and, carve out their own spot. So there are reasons to feel really good about this team, though.
So I'm going to go ahead and go down this road, even though I thought I was going to just do it with Kelly. Yeah. You and I are baseball fans, and so we love pennant races. Well,
yep.
For instance, for a Tennessee, Saturday was a big day. Seeing Florida State go down, you never know, but that might not help open up a spot for somebody like Tennessee, which begs the question, why on God's earth was Mike Norvell with a team that he thinks could go deep, willing to settle for DJ Ungalale when there were some really good quarterbacks out there that are way better than him?
George, the portal is a really, really interesting thing. I was just talking with a source of mine. The transfer portal in both basketball and football are really, really interesting. Getting one of those quarterbacks is absolutely key. Having one of those guys is solid gold. And if you start looking around these SEC rosters in particular, everybody's got, for the most part, a credible starting quarterback. Now, we know those guys aren't going to all stay healthy. I look at that kid that you were just talking about, who played at Oregon State last year after a rough go of it at Clemson.
Yeah.
And I look at him, George, and he looks to me to be an okay player. And I'm with you. If I'm at Florida State and I want to play in rare air, you cannot settle for okay in that sport. You just can't. And he's okay. He's okay. Not going, he's. And by the way, they were afraid to let him throw the ball downfield from what I saw.
Absolutely. I am in total agreement with you. They tried to Gerber's baby food their offense, and it came a point where Georgia Tech said, you're going to have to be a lot more creative than this.
Yeah, because they don't trust him.
That's right. And, Kelly, why would you bring a quarterback in that you don't trust? This is his fourth year in college football. He should know what he's doing. You should trust him enough to have him out there, or you should have somebody else. But that was probably a miscalculation on their part. Look, the portal's going to give, the portal's going to take. I'm writing tomorrow about Tennessee basketball. They're going to lose 9 players after this season. They've determined that time is much better spent in the transfer portal than it is on signing high-ticket guys, the top 25 guys, many of whom are not going to make an impact in the first season, versus going out and getting a known quantity, investing heavily in a known quantity, knowing what you're getting. Two different worlds.
Boy.
And it makes sense, by the way.
Yeah.
And for both those sports.
And this has made the high school senior kind of look around going, anybody noticing me?
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And that goes for football, basketball, the baseball transfer portal's the same thing. And, when you endeavor to play at the top of these deals, you have to be really on your game, because like Norvell, you make that one move. Look, we don't know what that kid's going to do the rest of the year at quarterback from Florida State, but I wouldn't bet on him after Saturday. I don't know about you guys. I would not bet on that guy to bounce back and have a good year.
No, I'm with you. By the way, before I turn it to Kelly, yesterday Herm Edwards came out here to Ford Ice Center, did an hour with us.
Wow.
If you get a chance,
So cool.
Listen to it. He was fabulous.
Man, he is a gifted orator. That guy, I've always thought that guy would have been a terrific actor, like a Hollywood guy with his personality.
Yes.
He just oozes charisma. Or I've always thought he'd be like a great politician. That guy could get people to follow him.
Yes. He told a great story, Kelly, on the way to dinner afterwards. He said, I was taught a long time ago it doesn't cost anything to be nice.
Wow.
Well said.
He's a good dude.
Really
That was the first
well
time I
said.
met him. I was with him. I was with him in Tampa Bay when when Tony Dungy got that job, and that's what I talked about him with yesterday. That nobody remembered me because Clyde Christensen became the tight ends coach, and he was offensive coordinator for Maryland, and he brought his quarterback Scott Milanovich in, and me being a young guy, I was still trying to make it. I didn't realize at that point the politics of professional sports, and I had no shot. I mean, I really didn't. But you're talking about a good guy, and he talked about some of the dudes. He's like, in Philly, they all won a championship while he was there in Philly. I mean, the hockey team won one, the baseball team won, the basketball team won one, and then they won one. So it was cool to hear him talk about that. And he was like, that was before cell phones, and we hung out with the Charles Barkleys and the Mo Cheeks and all those dudes. It was really cool.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, that's a part, Tony, you would really enjoy. I've butted in. Kelly, what do you got for Tony?
Well, here's what well, first of all, let me get back to the quarterback deal. Y'all were talking about DJ. DJU is what Billy called him. But, it's just like everything else. I think you guys got one, Tony. I mean, we don't know yet, but I think everybody knows that he's a really good player, and he's going to be a really good player if he stays healthy. But, you get in this transfer portal, and all these coaches think, well, they didn't do a good job of coaching him. I can coach him. Well, I've said it the last 2 weeks a bunch, but at some point a quarterback has to make a play, and he's one of those guys. His statistics look pretty good during the game, but when the game is on the line, he's proven that he can't do it when it comes time to do it, and that's what separates the good quarterbacks from the not so good quarterbacks. And I think y'all probably got a good quarterback. I mean, time will tell, but we will see.
Yeah, I think this guy's going to put up tremendous numbers. We were talking about it today on the air. The thing you don't know about anybody is what do you do when you're down a score and you've got to go 80 yards and there's about 3 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock at the end of a game. Do you make the plays? Do you win? That's how those guys are judged. Otherwise, this guy's going to pile up numbers in that offense. He's got a ton of offensive weapons around him. What we don't know and won't know till you get there is what kind of winner is he. And that's really how, I think college and NFL guys, I think that's the high-level guys, I think that's how they're judged, whether or not you win. I mean, look, Carson Wentz in Philly put up a lot of numbers, but he was not well-liked. He was not a winner. He wasn't a team guy. And Kelly, guys like that in the NFL that put up big numbers, but when the time comes, they don't win games because one reason or another, this Nico guy has come in here extremely humble the entire time. He's their high-ticket item. He's their, most, whatever you want to call it, highly compensated guy. Does not lord that over anybody. Has been extremely humble. Has been extremely team-oriented. And I think the sky's the limit for him. I really do. And you guys know me. I'm more going to lean toward my past, which is being Negadelphian, than I am being positive. I'm pretty positive this kid's going to be a very good player.
When did you come up with that term?
No, that's what everybody around here calls the negative fans, Negadelphians.
Oh, that's hilarious. Sorry, Kelly.
Hilarious. Yeah. So Tony, what do you get out of this game? What are they trying to do? This is like a preseason game for the NFL. This is what this is. UTC. We can sit here and talk about it all day, but there's a different level, and how are they? It obviously depends on how the game's going, but I mean, do you think they're looking at it as the coach is saying, get Nico 4 or 5 series, let him look good? How is that going to go in this game?
Obviously, but Heupel likes numbers, so they're going to want to put up some numbers. I think guys to watch like this week, a guy like an Ethan Davis, who's a redshirt freshman tight end. look, I think this guy has tremendous ability. He can make big plays. He's had an incredible camp. They went out and bought a guy from Notre Dame, and they brought in another guy, and this guy just went out there and beat him out in camp. And I think they're looking for him to kind of take the next step, do it in a game. There's a kid on Tennessee's roster last year who Tennessee, highly recruited kid. He was really good in camp. They won a recruiting battle over Alabama for him. He's an in-state linebacker, but Arian Carter, so I'm talking about, and he really, really struggled in space last year, and it made him look non-instinctive. You can see when young guys in any of these sports, when they're not out there playing, they're out there thinking. They're hoping that the lights come on for him on Saturday, and he's been pretty good in camp, and they're hoping that he can continue that. So, a couple other things to watch for this weekend. One of them, there's a battle at Tennessee star position, which we all call a nickel, in their secondary. And there's a true freshman, Boo Carter, who's been their best guy in the secondary, been their best player in the secondary. This staff does not play and will not play kids. Those two guys in particular. I'm talking about Willie Martinez and also Tim Banks. And that's their responsibility. This guy is going to be too good to keep off the field. And then the other interesting thing for Tennessee is going to be the battle at free safety. Who lines up out there? Is it the kid that Jeremy Pruitt brought here all those years ago? I mean, this kid's a fifth-year former walk-on going to start. Is he really going? I mean, hey, I wish the kid well.
Tony, looking at this team, other than Nico, what do you think the strength of this team is?
Oh, I think it's defensive line. Look, I think Tennessee's got a national championship caliber defensive line. I don't know if they have a national championship caliber anything else. I think they're going to have a national championship caliber quarterback by the end of the year because I think he's going to be that good. But that defensive line is stacked, packed, and jacked. Those guys go three deep. They can all play. James Pierce is one of the great rushers in college football. And he plays what they call the Leo position here. And, they're just going to... Here's the other thing. I keep toggling back and forth between this team being a 10-2 and 9-3 team, and I haven't made a formal pick yet. And I'm not doing it for, drama purposes, because who in the hell cares what I think anyway? But when I think about this team and I look at their defensive line, defensive lines in Southeastern Conference games really change games because I'm going to force you to throw balls faster. And that's just something you don't even see. You just force quarterbacks to get balls out of their hands because they know that pressure's coming. Second thing is, every once in a while, I can get a ball out of a quarterback's hands, out of a back's hands, get the ball on the ground. I can hit an arm and force a ball to go up in the air, which, it would really be nice if Tennessee could intercept the ball every once in a while, that kind of thing. So I think if you're going to have one area of your team that is your dominant strength, the defensive line, if you're trying to win, especially these high-level games, is a good place to start.
Kelly, one more.
Yeah. So Tony, I need an update, man. I hadn't asked you this. Now, one young Herring man is gone. He went to Memphis. How's Caleb doing?
I think they're going to be very, very, very good at his position. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Kelly. I'm going to make a phone call for you, and because he's a little off the radar, I'm going to get a complete update for you next week.
Yeah, please, because I want to hear that. I mean, those kids, were at my house constantly. They were over here. So.
No, and they're good kids, right? And you cheer for them, man.
They're awesome kids, man. They're great kids. But I just want to know how he's doing because it looked like he was third on the depth chart, and I know you saying they've got a lot of depth there. So I just want to know.
Yeah, they're loaded, and I didn't want to say that because I don't know for sure. I guess that's a thing to watch this weekend. All kidding aside. Because you and I both know that what's on a depth chart, what's on a paper, we've learned this with Heupel in the past. what's on that piece of paper means very little. You can tell what coaches think, as the great Chris Burke says, by what they do in games. They can sit there and talk all they want about a relief pitcher, George, but when a game's on the line in the 7th inning in a high leverage spot, do they put that guy in? And that's something you don't know till you get there.
Yep. Okay, tell people on Saturday what all you're going to be up to and how they can hear you if they've never done that before.
Yeah, tclub.team is how you find us. We'll be on after that game, as soon as that game is over. And that game will be, and that post-game show will be really two things. It'll be us talking about and celebrating the fact that Tennessee football's back, college football's back. And secondly, another thing we do is we watch the game in that window. We'll be watching that Florida-Miami game, which is a 3:30 kickoff down there, which, hey, you know what I say to that, George? More power to those people. If you want to sit in Gainesville, Florida at 3:30 Eastern time in a stadium with metal bleachers, more power to you.
Can you say hot?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Uncomfortable, brutal.
Shoot.
They're hoping for a lightning delay.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, those people be sweating like Kelly when he was in 9th grade at the high school dance.
Oh, wow. Kelly, I think
you're trying to get a date to prom, Hoss.
Interesting. I remember getting the cold flashes, getting those cold. Like after my third no, Kelly, though, I kind of got better at it. The more women that said no to me when I was a kid, the better I got at it.
Well, here's all I got to say to your wife. She's a good lady, but there's somebody for everybody. You know what I'm saying, big dog?
See? She went to bat for you, and you did that.
Yeah. Tell her. Report that back to her. Hey, talk next
She's
week.
listening.
Oh,
hey,
beautiful.
see you guys.
Take
Hey,
care.
be blessed, guys. All right, thanks.
You too.